let's look at the role of the US Vice President. Some might think of it as the backup job, but there's so much more to it than that. Now more than ever. So let's start with the basics. To be a Vice President in the United States, you need to meet a few simple criteria. You must be a natural-born US citizen, at least 35 years old, and a US resident for at least 14 years. Seems pretty straightforward, right? Well, it is. And beyond that, there aren't any special qualifications required. Most candidates have significant political or military experience, but technically you do not need any particular resume to run for this position. Now, how are the vice presidents elected? They are chosen as running mates by presidential candidates and then run together on a joint ticket. This means that when you vote for a president, you're also voting for their chosen vice president. Once confirmed at the party's national convention, they campaign together as a team. What does the vice president actually do? Constitutionally, the vice president has two main duties. First, they serve as the president of the Senate. And here's where it gets interesting. They only vote to break a tie. And believe it or not, this has happened 243 times with 35 different vice presidents in history. And second, they oversee and certify the electoral college votes after a presidential election. Now, it might sound ceremonial, but it's crucial to ensuring the transition of power. Now, historically, the vice president's role was pretty limited. They were often seen as standby equipment, ready to step in if something happened to the president. But times have changed now. Modern vice presidents have become key advisors, diplomats, and even leaders of significant initiatives. Take, for example, Walter Mondale. Under President Jimmy Carter, who was one of the first to have an office in the West Wing and regular access to the president. This set the stage for future vice presidents to become more actively involved in daily governance. Now, let's talk about Kamala Harris. Sworn in on January 20, 2021, she's the first woman, the first Black American, and the first South Asian American to hold the office of a vice president. That's a lot of firsts. Kamala Harris has been more than just a figurehead. She's been actively involved in fighting for women's rights, voting rights, and tackling the climate crisis. She's also set a new record for the most tie-breaking votes in the Senate. Her decisive vote helped pass the landmark Inflation Reduction Act, among other significant legislations. So, is the role of Vice President important? Absolutely. Now more than ever. It's not just about being a backup now. Vice Presidents are now critical advisors to the President, often taking on significant policy initiatives and representing the US abroad. They need to be ready to step into presidency at any moment, ensuring continuity and stability in leadership. Cut to the present, we're at a pretty exciting juncture. With President Joe Biden having stepped down and endorsing Kamala Harris, she's officially become the Democratic presidential nominee. Her popularity is soaring, and many see her as a strong candidate for the presidency. Now, with Kamala Harris as the presidential candidate, everybody's asking, who will she choose as her running mate? The decision is crucial not just for the campaign but for governing. Her choice will reflect her vision and priorities for the country. Stay tuned to India Today Global.